I'm Kaylee, and today I'm going to tell you about the worst, the most awful, no good books that I read in 2023. Now, I just did my video about my favorite books that I read in 2023, and that list was 62 books long because I really loved a lot of books in this past year. However, my list today is only 9 books long, so I think that's pretty good. Out of all the hundreds of books that I read this past year, there were only 9 that I truly hated. Before we dive in to the books that I truly hated, we're gonna reach back here to our Booktuber Shoutout book, and we're gonna shout out somebody randomly. I'm just sorry I have to do a shout out on such a negative video. Today's shout out goes to Jackie's Literary Corner. Jackie will be our bright spot, our happy spot in the midst of this negative video. I will leave a link to their channel in the description. Be sure to go over and subscribe to them. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up. And be sure to follow me over on Instagram and Twitter and Goodreads and Storygraph and all the places. So these books are not in any particular order, really. They're in backwards chronological order of the order that I read them. So the first one on our list is Bump Fizzle, the Best on Planet Earth. This is about a very disturbed young boy who treats his family horribly and is extremely rude and really just cruel. He's just mean to his family. He throws the family cat in the trash. I mean, this is a kid with serious issues, okay? And the book just treats it like it's funny and quirky and, oh, look how mischievous, you know, but he's not mischievous or however you say it. He's just cruel. That's torture. Like, that's really not okay. And then I kind of skimmed to the end of the book, and in the end of the book, it's supposed to be like he has a change of heart and he starts to treat his family better. He learns his lesson or something, but I didn't want to sit through chapter after chapter of this child being horrible to everyone around him for like one chapter at the end where he learns his lesson. I just really hated that. The second book on our list is Goblin Mode. I made it to about page 32 in this book, and then I had to give up because there were a lot of political references, which is not the subject of this book. Somehow the author was unable to restrain themselves from making political comments in a book that is supposed to be about, you know, living a cozy life and stuff. And most of their political comments were incorrect. And then they started with all the profanity and cursing, and I just gave up. I really wish that authors would just stick to the subject. If you are not an economist, why are you commenting in your book about the economy? It has nothing to do with the subject of the book, so it just doesn't belong there. They couldn't stick to the subject, so I threw that one in the trash. The next one was The Rat Queen. This book was, I don't know, just kind of disturbing. It's based on like these old Russian, European something folk tales about if you write your sins on a piece of paper and you feed it to the rats, then you won't feel guilty. You won't feel bad about the things that you've done anymore. So you can go around doing all sorts of horrible things and then your conscience is clear and you don't feel bad about it. So that in itself is pretty disturbing. So there's this young girl who's discovering kind of this past, this history of her family. She's discovering the magic of the rats who will eat your sins. And as she's discovering all this, she just kind of coasts along. She never really makes a concrete moral decision to say, I will do the right thing, or, okay, I'm gonna join the bad guys. She just sort of coasts along wishy-washy and never makes any concrete decisions. And that really bothered me. I kept waiting for the big showdown between good and evil, and that just never happened. So yeah, that was a big disappointment. That book was just problematic. Then we had Clementine. This is a graphic novel about zombies. Like I should have known. It's zombies, and I'm just not a zombie person. And apparently it's based on some kind of video game or something. And so maybe if you had played the video game, then you would like it. I don't know. I just hated all the characters. They were all really, really selfish. They had no concept of any sort of morality. There was some cursing in this one, and That's just not for me. And of course, there was a lot of violence and blood and guts and zombies eating your brains and the stuff. So, wow, it was just really, really not for me. Then we had the Tain. I looked it up, how to say this when I read it. I looked up the proper way to pronounce this, and now I forgot how to pronounce it. But it's these Irish folk tales that are like retold for a modern audience. And I love that kind of stuff usually, but these are retold in much too modern of a way. Like, these stories are ancient, and so you expect a certain amount of formality maybe in the language to sort of reflect the heft of history that is behind it. But they were using a lot of modern slang and saying like, "What's up, man?" and stuff, and it was so jarring to see these ancient stories being told with modern slang, and it was too much. The tone of the writing did not fit the subject material, and I just couldn't, and I DNF'd it because I just couldn't. Then we have The Dreams Factory. This is a beautifully illustrated graphic novel. I mean, the artwork is so gorgeous, and the world building is really imaginative. The whole setup of the story is very interesting. They really make you care about the characters in the beginning, and then the story just unravels. There's nothing concrete that you can hold on to. There are questions that are just left hanging, and you never find out why they did this, or why that was there, or how that magic thing works. And then towards the end, there's stuff that is happening, and it's just like, what is happening? Who is that guy? Wait, did he time travel? Who is that? Nothing is explained. And then there's this one guy who gets stabbed, but then in the next panel, he's not stabbed. And so you're just like, did he just magically heal? Or like, what is happening? And it's never explained. There's no explanation. I read through this twice because I kept thinking I must have missed something. Surely there's some explanation somewhere. If I go back, then I'll see the answers to whatever. And no, it's just really that confusing. And the story just doesn't make sense. It just makes no sense at all. So there you go. I'm not the only one either, because I looked at other people's reviews and they all said the same thing, that the ending makes no sense. Half the story makes no sense. It's a shame because the world building was really cool and the illustrations were just gorgeous, but it just all fell apart. I also read a graphic novel called Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So this is Han Solo and Chewbacca on some adventures before they ever meet Luke Skywalker. So in this one, Jabba the Hutt has given Han Solo and Chewbacca like some sort of delivery to pick up or something, and they're supposed to smuggle it in or whatever, but they don't end up picking up that delivery because adventurers. And so that's how Han ends up with a price on his head, basically. This was awful. I liked the parts kind of that had Han Solo and Chewbacca. That was fine. But there's like these other chapters that follows the other characters, and I didn't care about them. And nothing in the story made me care about them. The story with Han Solo was just kind of meh. There was nothing particularly interesting or imaginative or compelling or anything in any of that. It just really fell flat. I don't know. I was disappointed with that one. I tried to read Llewellyn's complete book of meditation. I guess I hoped that this would just be simple meditations that would apply to anyone, regardless of your religion, your philosophy, that it would just be kind of like more of a mental health thing that anyone could use to combat stress and sleep better and, all those things. But this had a very definite philosophy behind it, and it did not align with my philosophy, with my religious beliefs. There were some areas that felt like oppressive, almost kind of scary. I was like freaked out reading this. I was like, oh, that does not sound healthy. That does not sound good. And so I DNF'd it. I think I read up through like page 20, and then I kind of, skimmed a little bit through the rest of it and just called it a day. Yeah, that went in the trash as well. That was just not at all what I was looking for in a meditation book. No. And the last one we have today is All the Colors of Life. This is a book of art by this one artist, and it kind of is supposed to follow like from your babyhood all the way to your death. It just gives you like these snapshots of life. Some of them were really, really beautiful. I mean, the artwork, the style of the art was absolutely gorgeous in some places. But in other pages, the designs were like disturbing and grotesque. One of them actually made me nauseated to look at, okay? So I feel like it's such a shame because obviously this artist is extremely talented and capable of designing beautiful, beautiful art. So I'm just like, why would you purposefully design something that just is disturbing and grotesque and yucky? So yeah, I did not enjoy that. That was just not good. And those are the 9 books that I really hated this past year. Just really not my cup of tea. Please leave me a comment and let me know what was a book that you really, really hated, that you were just like, wow, I am not the target audience for this. Leave me a comment and let me know. Did you DNF it? Did you push through and make yourself finish it? Did you skim? Did you skip to the end just to see how it finished? What did you do when you found a book that you really hated? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and remember, the right book in the right hands at the right time can change the world.